Hello, and welcome to day 2 of our challenge. My name is Marie. Hello, I am a licensed clinical social worker, but I have gone rogue as a nervous system coach. And honestly, I've been so excited I'm like buzzing like a bee right now, or hummingbird, because I'm just so excited to be here and to be able to do this work with you. Sometimes I have to like pinch myself because I feel like I'm just living my dream, just doing what I love, being able to share my unique gift with you, so that you can bring. My real mission is that you can bring your unique gifts to the world, because the world needs them, and you can use them as a business to sustain your life and have balance. Enjoy your children, enjoy your partner, go on vacations if you want, be nomadic, whatever those goals are for you, that's what I want. There's no one size fits all. So, super excited to be able to share with you. We are going to start out with a somatic resource because, as you know, if you've worked with me, we always do this because my pillar of my business is safety and how I work. 3 pillars are building safety in the first part of our actions together, because if you don't have safety in your nervous system, you can't move forward. When you don't feel safe, you don't take in new information. And so if you're not grounded, which somebody pointed out to me yesterday, they had to go through the live again because when they watched it in the here and now, they weren't in a grounded place, and it made it really hard for them to take in the information. And that's just because when you're living in a more dysregulated nervous system, you literally can't. And that doesn't mean anything about you, that just means the state that you're in. So we're going to start out with just a very simple resource. And I'm going to have 2 different versions of it, and you get to use your intuition of what you want to do, because this is all intuitive work. So I just want you to ground yourself, come into your body. You're going to put a hand, oh, it feels good already, on your forehead, your chest, if that feels good, to feel your heartbeat, to feel your breath, or on your solar plexus, if that feels good. So I want you to decide, or you can move between both. And just allow yourself to gently breathe. Could be the middle of the day, the end of the day for some of us. Maybe you've just taken a lot in right now, a lot of stimulus. Constantly taking in the energies around us. Oftentimes we're just buzzing like those hummingbirds, trying to hustle and get things done in our business. And that's why it's so important to come back to our bodies and just witness what we've experienced, to come back to what it needs, so we can feel safe to just be here and listen to our intuition, to trust ourselves. And you might feel the need to take a really deep breath or let yourself sigh it out, and I just encourage you to do what feels right, what feels good, because you are your own guide. I will tell you that a million times, because the world doesn't tell you that enough, that you really are. Okay, so now just coming out of this space, you don't have to if it feels really good to you. You could stay here the whole time if you want. This is all up to you, right? Just notice how your body feels now. I was noticing that my heart was racing a little bit, and it's because I'm just so excited to get to do this work. I think in the past it probably would have come more from a place of fear. But that's the cool thing about our body, is like it does all these different physiological things, and like just because your heart races in a fast rhythm doesn't mean that you're scared necessarily. It can also just mean you're excited. It's like when you run down Christmas Day and you see all those presents, again, you're very activated. That's just your sympathetic nervous system. But we perceive emotions in real time as different things, and based off the experiences we've had. And right now I'm just really excited and I'm grateful to be here in this space. So I want to talk about just understanding the importance of resiliency, because we need resiliency just as humans in general, especially when we're in the entrepreneurial realm, because there's constantly going to be setbacks. There's going to be challenges. Like I said yesterday, there is no roadmap, no blueprint to how this is done. You're literally creating something from scratch. When I started my business, if most of you have followed me throughout this whole journey, it was with 2 other coaches and we were all together, and it was the theme of helping women with anxiety and gut pain. We don't do that anymore, and it's just me now, and the business has taken on a life of its own because I've allowed to settle in what it is instead of forcing it to be what I thought it was going to be. So we're going to talk a lot about that in trusting ourselves today to follow into conviction. So when we face setbacks, when we're challenged as entrepreneurs, and when we come from this place of a dysregulated nervous system, we can feel overwhelmed, right, in our body. We know, like, that hot sensation, our chest gets achy, we might feel something in our solar plexus. We really do follow, like, the chakra system. Our throat might feel tight. When we go blank, like kind of the deer in the headlights, like what's the right thing to say? What do I write in this email? What's the next thing that I need to do? When we overthink, when we don't know how to express ourselves, when we don't put a boundary up, when we feel fear to show up as we are in expansive ways, any kind of stress, we're not thinking clearly, right? It's hard to make decisions, and that makes it really hard to take actions and actually have the outcomes, right? You're doing this business probably to provide for yourself, to provide for your family. Maybe you want to build an empire that's going to sustain, generations and build this wealth for your family. Whatever it is, I'm here for it. And that all roots, all of those symptoms, all the things that we talk about, all the things you see in social media, it roots in a dysregulated nervous system. So why does this happen? Why do we overthink? Why is it really hard for us to express our needs? Why do we feel overwhelmed? Why do we go blank? All these things can be gathered into 2 simple things I want to break down. Is that you don't feel safe in your own body. So your nervous system is dysregulated. That's all it means. When you hear the word dysregulation, just think, I do not feel safe. And so what your brain is doing, the connection here that it's making, is that, for example, if it's overthinking, I've got to sort out every single scenario that could possibly happen to me. Even for expressing my needs. If it doesn't go the way I want, what's that person going to say if I say no to them? How are they going to respond to me? And how will I take that? So basically what your body is doing is it's trying to fill in all these perceived events to keep you safe, to protect you. Because like we talked about yesterday, there are most likely events in your life or experiences that can even go down intergenerational trauma, things that you don't remember that happened to your ancestors that are stuck in your body, stuck in your system. And this is an unconscious thing that your body is living in these states and it doesn't feel safe to express itself. Think about just this issue with women feeling like we have to be small. Can't say how we actually feel about things. Like that is long inherently deep within our DNA. Because, 60 years ago, potentially, your grandmother wasn't able to get a bank account without a male present with her. There are so many things, fear, that's been passed down to us that does not allow us to show up in the way that we want to do that, because inherently our body's like, nope, we can't do that because something really bad's going to happen to us. And so then these things that we perceive as emotions and behaviors, like not knowing what to say or just feeling really blank and stunted, shows up in our business. And then we spiral and we feel bad. We label it about ourselves that we've done something wrong. We feel guilty, yada, yada, yada. So the first part is just not feeling safe. The second part of why we do this is because of trust. This comes from this, of feeling not safe. When it really comes down to it, this work is about trusting yourself. That is why I am the biggest fan of always telling my clients they are their own guides. And when they ask me a question, I try most of the time not to just inherently just answer it right away, because I know that they already know the answer for themselves. And I will tell you, like pretty much 100% of the time, they do know the answer. And it might just take some type of somatic practice like tapping, or even just coming into their body, listening to their intuition, connecting back to it, to have that answer for themselves. Because you do know what you want. You're just afraid. You're not feeling safe to say it, to experience it. There's a great quote that says, on par with this, it says, "It's not our darkness we are afraid of, but it's our light." We are so inherently terrified of this light beam inside of us in what we can create, that's like a part of ourselves that comes out. I talk about this in the Mother Wounds course. We self-sabotage ourselves from this greatness because expansion can feel really scary sometimes. So a lot of times when I expand in my nervous system and I do things like do another master class or create a new course or put myself out there with somebody personally or in a client relationship, say something on social media that I'm scared to say, there can be that point of contraction, of coming back in on myself. But contraction is not a bad thing. And I think in society we make it seem like it's such an inherent bad thing to come in on ourselves and to feel, because we're told not to do that. That it's not okay to feel anxiety. That's why we give you meds. It's not okay to feel sadness. It's uncomfortable. It is unpleasant. But the more we come in on ourselves, this is where the real release happens, because we're able to feel what's happened. We're able to be there as a witness. We're able to just have self-awareness. It's not about us, like what's wrong with us. It's that something has happened here in my life to cause this. And it means, honestly, nothing about me. That's one of the best unburnings I've had in my entire experience, when I realized this means nothing about me. That's a beautiful thing to realize. So when we find this safety back in our body through somatic work, through the nervous system, that's why it's the best thing you could ever prioritize. You establish this self-trust and conviction in yourself because you're connected to your intuition, your authenticity of who you are. This is where you take action and you have conviction in this action. But that doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. I have made so many mistakes in my business, in my life, of course. And that's okay. The difference is, with a regulated nervous system of me coming at from this approach, is that I feel safe to take risks. I feel safe to do things people aren't doing. I feel safe to say things that people aren't saying as much about. I used to not feel safe because I thought I had to follow the status quo of how things were done. And that's a big part of why I've left more of the therapy realm, because there was a system implied in how we do things, and I didn't actually align with that system. And it just didn't feel safe to me. It didn't feel good, and it's okay to understand that about yourself and to forge your own path. And that's what I've decided to do, and it feels good with me. That doesn't mean that's your path, but that's the thing that aligns with me. So now that I know if I make a mistake in my life, in my business, it means nothing about me. And the resiliency in me tells me through a regulated nervous system is that I get to grow, I get to pivot, and I get to learn from my experiences. You know, last year, price tag doesn't really mean anything to me. It's all about the conviction of, does this align with me? Is this going to work with me? And I trust myself to take the leap for things that I invest in myself, self-care and coaching and any type of wellness experience. You know, last year I invested in a coach that was a lot of money. And I didn't see the results I wanted to in the first 5 months. And I think I mentioned this yesterday. It's because I invested in a business coach. I did not feel safe in my body. So not in my business. So nothing that she was teaching me really clicked and set in because I did not feel safe to actually feel and see that vision manifest what I wanted for myself, because my body was telling me through all those limiting beliefs why it was not going to happen. But now that I have worked through those experiences and come back into my body, I don't have the same reality. But when we experience rejection, when we feel setback, when we feel like we did something wrong through a dysregulated nervous system, this is where we interpret things like shame, anxiety, and self-doubt. And this is where we can get really clouded and feel judgmental about ourselves, the way we approach something. And we can't look at it expansively. We can't look at it objectively. We can't look at the experience of it because we're stuck in a protective mode in some kind of past experience. So we can't learn from our mistakes. And then we just get stuck in these patterns of blaming ourselves, becoming more of a victim. Instead, when we learn to regulate our nervous system, this is what comes online. Such a huge part of this is self-awareness of the experiences. That I have choices in all of this, in how I respond. I don't have to be a victim in this. You know, I could have said like, oh, I wasted my money. I could have just said, blamed it on the person. But no, I recognized there is a way to pivot. I looked within and I realized there are some blockages here that are preventing me from experiencing the reality I want to create. And so I want to just do a very simple exercise of just connection to your body. So I want you to think about a time in your life where you put yourself out there and maybe something didn't work out in the way you wanted to, or maybe you are going to put yourself out there right now and that kind of invokes some fear, maybe some shame in something that didn't work out in the way you wanted, feelings of not enoughness, I did something wrong. Just notice that. Now, I want you to notice in your body, remember we did a body scan yesterday, where do you feel any kind of discomfort in your body? What is lighting up for you? Oftentimes we feel things in our face, our throat, our chest, our solar plexus. There's no wrong answer here. Just notice whatever you're noticing. Now I want you to just notice the quality of the sensation. Does it feel really tingly, tight? Do you feel like it's prickly, really edgy? Does it feel like a pit sensation? What does that quality feel like? What's the temperature of this sensation? Is it really hot? Is it really cold? lukewarm. Where does this energy start and where does this energy stop in your body? And lastly, does this energy have any movement to it, or is it stagnant? And as you notice this energy, are you also noticing any beliefs come through, any thoughts that are coming through, any images, any memories tied to it? Any parts of you coming forward? Like shame, anxiety, fear. And now I want you to put a hand wherever that space is in your body. And I want you to repeat after me. Even though I have faced challenges in the past, I choose to believe in my ability to overcome them and persist towards my goals. It's safe for me to be here. It's safe for me to feel. It's safe for me to change my mind. It's safe for me to be bold and show up and be myself. It's safe to say what I need to say. It's safe to follow my own path, the beat of my own drum. It's safe for me to feel scared sometimes. It's safe for me to feel disappointment. It means nothing about me and who I am and the vision I have for myself. I am expansive, and it's safe for me to create. It's safe for me to be curious, and it's safe for me to explore. It's safe for me to trust myself. And then tell yourself something that you need to hear personally in this moment. Just notice how your body experienced that moment together. Remember, there is no right or wrong. You might feel lightness. It might also have activated some things. What really was happening in this space was that you were connecting to an emotional tie, or I like to think of it as a part of you or parts of you in your family system coming forward that are tied to that inner child, you know, who has been wounded, that carries some limiting belief. For so long last year, for almost 6 or 7 months, I was so afraid to make the shift to speaking to only mostly entrepreneurs. And when I got down to that fear and I really noticed it and where it came from, instead of turning away from it, what I recognized is that I was afraid to make that shift because I never want anyone to feel left out and that this work can't be for them. Because I have been that little girl who was left out of a crowd of other girls. And I know what it feels like to not be included and not be connected. And what I told myself is that it's okay to want what you want, to desire what you want. That doesn't mean anything about you, and it doesn't mean that you're doing something bad or harmful. It's okay to meet your needs. And so I've done that for myself. And that's a lot of what this comes down to, is just trusting yourself, meeting your own needs, recognizing when you need to eat lunch, when you need to stop writing, when you need to lay down and shut your brain off and just let yourself go. When you need to take a break, you do that for yourself, because you are now trusting inherently in your vision and what you need to do to push that path forward. Thank you so much. I know we went almost 30 minutes again today, for joining me today. I'm going to include the replay in the Facebook group as well as Instagram. Please message me if you have any questions, any feedback for me, just anything in general. And there's going to be homework for day 2. If you signed up for the challenge, you received that. Let me know if you didn't and you want to get it anyways. And you can post it in the Facebook group and I will respond to it. Have a lovely day. It was so nice to be here with all of you.